All right, good evening. And this is Bob Pace, your host for the show that we're putting on YouTube via Facebook called The Secret: How to Fight CPS and Get Your Kids Back. And this is a live broadcast, and I'm speaking from Southern California. And you should see a screen of myself talking, and I'm here to talk about the Child Protection Services and Family Reunification to get your family back together when your children are from you. And so we will usually have a guest, but tonight I'm not sure if the guest is going to call in right now. There, um, there is uh, um, there is several ways for you to interact with the show. First way to interact is to call in at 888-888-6582. That is direct, that's a line to my office. And tell them you want to be on the show and you want to mention my name, Bob Pace. And what you want to do is that you want to ask to be on the show. They'll schedule a day and a time for you to be on the show. And you can talk live about your case with Social Services Child Protection Agency, about your family, whatever is going good or bad. I'd love to hear from you. Another way to interact is that you can call in directly right now at 626-698-0990. That's my direct line, my phone number. And if you want to speak on the show, you want to enter the show. Let me make sure. I'm hoping that my mic is working right now. They said it wasn't working, but uh, does everybody hear me? Um, Let me think here. Let me see. Do you hear me? If anybody's listening, oh, it's working. Okay. All right. Okay. It is working. I'll start again. Good evening. This is Bob Pace, and I'm your host tonight with a live broadcast via Facebook through YouTube. And the show is called The Secret: How to Fight CPS, Child Protection Services, and How to Get Your Children Back. There are three ways that you can interact with the show. The first way is that you can um, uh, do a live text message. I'll put it on the screen when you type it in. Make sure you put your first name. Okay. And you want to put your first name. And then what you want to do is type your question. That's the first way to interact. It's a direct there. I'll take time out and read it and so forth there. Um, Let me see. We're missing some banners right now. Or brand. I guess we're missing a brand here. I don't know where they disappeared to. Um, hmm. Boy. I gotta find in. Oh, that one is in. Okay. Let me think. Something here. Okay. Um, we lost our number here. It was the brand. Okay, there's the phone number. There is there. Um, that's not the right banner here. Okay, I think we got it squared away now. Sorry for the temporary glitch, but as I say, right now you can text, type in a comment, read out loud. Make sure you put your name and where you're from and what your question is. Or your second way is that you can call 888 and schedule a appointment to pick a date and a time you'd like to be a guest on the show and arrange it. Make sure you say Bob Pace and put it in there. Um, the third way is you can call in right now, 563 999 3480. And that's my direct line to my phone, and I can answer the call and put you on the show. So those are three ways you can come in there. Now, uh, this show is hosted by uh, Vincent W. Davis and Associates. It's a law firm in Southern California, and there's a lawyer named Vincent W. Davis. He's an excellent family law attorney. He's done trial. He's done trials. He's a trial lawyer. He's also not only does he work in Southern California, he works in Northern California and around the 50 states in the country. He will go anywhere. Also, he offers a free 30-minute to an hour consultation to talk about strategies with your case and how to get your children back and help you. And if you like him, which I know you will, you can retain him. Yes, he does charge like all attorneys do. But if you want to get your kids back and you want to go uh, against CPS, you're going to have an attorney. And the public defenders they give you will not work the court thing. They're very limited. They're not on your side, and they're loaded with 20 or more cases. The number to call in for Vince is 888 That's my office. Mention that Bob Pace, my name, and say you want to schedule a time with Vincent W. Davis. Um, so now that we got that out of the way here, we're located in Southern California. It's approximately a little after 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. My shows that I'm doing is right now, I'm doing one at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time and one at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can go to Facebook and look us up. You can also search up um, Bob Pace Fighting with CPS. And you can find the show, but you go through the Facebook, you can see it live. And so you can go on there. Now, again, if anybody wants to text in or call in, please do so. Feel free at any time. We have approximately 50 minutes left of this show, and I'm going to try to cover things that will help you. Now, who am I? I'm right now a 74-year-old uh, husband and a father of 6 children. 3 of them were living at home when I went through CPS back in 2015. It wasn't until 2017, 3 years later, that I got 2 of my 3 children back. And it was a horrible experience. And I was dealt a blow where I lost my home. I mean, I lost everything. And I wanted my children back. And my daughter was very, very sadly coached and coerced and alienated by CPS, who stole my daughter and put her in foster care and made allegations that weren't true and so forth. And so I lost my daughter. So it still affected my family now. My wife and I are still very emotional strained because of it. My youngest son and second son, because I have three boys and three girls, is experienced a lot of the of the experience. He was in his senior year of college, computer science engineer, and he had changed his major. He wanted originally to be a robotic engineer, and so it affected him so bad that halfway through his senior year he had to leave and come home. And so he'd been trying to fight with the demons with CPS. CPS is not interested in anybody over the age of 18. They're not interested in putting a family together. They love to take a family apart. You're probably wondering, why would CPS want to do that? It's money. The bottom line is money. They have $1 billion business. It's like uh, it's like a slave trade. They will kidnap and take away your children. The more the children are taken away, and the longer they're in the system, the more money they're going to get. They're really going to get there. Hello there, Felix Barron. Yeah, you're from uh, Ghana. Okay, glad to meet you, Felix. I don't know if that's Ghana over in Africa or what, but welcome, Felix. And if you want to talk about your case with your involvement in family service, I'd be more than happy to talk about it. Um, yeah, you are new. Oh, you're new in the United States. You're probably one of our great immigrants that just came over here, which is great. Well, welcome to the United States. Yeah, Africa. Yeah, Ghana. Right. So, welcome to the United States. I know it's a, it's traumatic experience and so forth. Okay. Um, all right. I need to uh, put the right number. I thought I put my phone number up there, and I didn't. Hold on a second. Okay. It's a 626 number. I'm looking for it. I got the wrong phone number. I thought I had my own number in there. It's 560. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah, the number that call in to me is 626-698-0990. I apologize if I gave the wrong phone number here. Um, anyway, the person that's now texted in is from Ghana, and he has a problem. And sure, go ahead and tell me your problem, Felix. I got your message on the screen so everybody can see. What is your problem, Felix? And I can try to help you. I lost my parents. I'm going through a lot. I feel like dying. Well, first of all, don't die. Do not die on me. You're an important human being. Also, you've come over from Africa for a fresh start here from Ghana, and you're trying to start in the United States. Can you tell me what has happened to you? How do you lose your parents? I know you're going through a lot. We all do that. You need to tell me. Um, we have another person called Daniel William, and my name is Cool. Well, Daniel, right now I'm dealing with Felix. I'll get back to you in a second, Daniel. Felix says he has a problem, and I think it's important that we listen to Felix. He sounds like a new immigrant in the United States, which is a really big disaster. I'm not here really to talk about politics, but the immigration that we have going right now is horrendous. We're having like 10,000 people a day come into the country. And Felix says he lost his parents, and I don't know um, uh, why he lost his parents. I don't know if his parents ran away or abandoned him or what's going on. You need to tell me more, Felix. I can help you. Also, if you want to call in, it's 626-698-0990, and I'll put you on the show live. Um, the Do you want to say anything more, Felix? Um, okay, you lost them through sickness. Did you lose your parents in Ghana or did you lose them in the United States, Felix? Did you lose them in the United States, or did you lose them in Ghana? I know you said they're lost by sickness because they're farmers. I have four siblings. They're young too. So, uh, are you, Felix, under the age of 18? Are you under the age of 18, Felix? And how old are your siblings? Okay, you lost your parents in Ghana. So you came over. Did you come over with your siblings, your brothers and sisters? Are you a family of five now in the United States? No, you're 23 years old. Okay, so you're not a juvenile. So you're old enough to take care of your siblings. But if your siblings, you want to probably know. Well, first of all, do not die. You got to live. We all in this world need to live because there's a lot to live for. And you're in one of the best countries in the world. Yes, it has a lot of problems, a lot of politics and stuff, but um, you can go to social services and get cash aid to help you get a job. They'll put the young kids in school. You can take them to school. You can get medical coverage for them, and also they have a program where they can help you get jobs and so forth. Um, oh, you're still living in Ghana. I'm totally confused. You're not in the United States, Felix. I thought you were over here in the United States. Um, uh, if you're still in Ghana, I don't know. Okay. I don't know. I can't really deal with overseas. We're not set up this way. This is the United States, and if you're in the United States, I can talk to you. But if you're still in Ghana, and so um, anyway, um, let me. Okay. Let me go back to the show here. We've had two prank calls. This is the sad part about everything. And when people say ridiculous things, we got to kind of skip through them, ignore them. I'm open, and I hate when I hear somebody say that they're dying, but that was another prank call. That's a wrong thing to do here. There are a lot of people that are listening that have issues with social services and their family, and I'm here to help. I want to listen. I'm not a lawyer, but I've been in social services for 9 years, or not been. I've been for 3 years, but I'm still helping out people. I've talked to over 100 people here from um, all different ways of um, how can you say it? All lifestyles and all different states. I've talked to them. So let me start off with first of all, uh, what is um, what is CPS? CPS is a branch of social services, and it's the agency by law through social services supposed to protect our children. And so, um, what you need to know, it's very important that allegations were made against you, your family, whatever, and you don't know where these allegations came from. The bad part is, by law, CPS has to answer every allegation that comes into their office. This is a big mistake. I think allegations should be made in writing and signed with a name, and then keep them confidential. Because right now anybody can call in. Just like now, I've had two prank calls come in and abuse the system. So CPS will believe the allegations. You are guilty in family law and family detention with your kids and so forth, um, with allegations until you're proven innocent. It isn't like other uh, courts where you're proven. you're innocent till you're proven guilty. So that's one thing you're going to have a rude awakening for. And also, CPS is going to try to interview you and try to investigate and try to come in your home and so forth. Um, it is a terrifying experience with the relationship you're going to experience. That's why it's essential for you to empower yourself with knowledge and to know and enforce your rights when doing the hiring an experienced attorney. That's your first step. Anytime you receive a phone call, don't talk to them. Call your attorney. If you receive a message, then tell your attorney. Also, if they happen to come by, do not let them in your house. Do not talk to them. You're not required by law. Your house is your castle. They have to have a court order um, or a warrant to come in to your home, even if they use the police. And they use police because police are very sort of what I try to say, very uh, forbidden or very big. I mean, they're uniforms and combat boots, and they're very rough and so forth. CPS is not your friend, and I want you to be aware of that. I'm not trying to say that CPS is all bad or anything like that, but my experience and the experience with over 100 people in the United States is that they've done them wrong. They've taken away their family, their children, and believed the accusations. And like in my case, my accusations were made by my family side that were wrong and false allegations. And they were wrong. It's like my family was put through a brutal time. So the reason why I say to get an attorney, you have to know the law. You have to navigate the law. And you need to know your rights. There's so many rights. Or right now, if I tell you what is a petition 388, you're not going to know that. And a petition 388 is something I'll talk about later. But I want you to know that when you're going through there, is that there are there are what child protection services will do. One, they'll investigate and they'll accept the case. They intervene if the crisis is required, meaning that if there's somebody on drugs, someone took a child, slammed them against the wall, something's going on, because they're there to protect the child from abuse or neglect. And there's three types of abuse. There's physical abuse. There is domestic abuse, which is like your wife or partner, you argue in front of the children. And then there is sexual abuse, either through sexual gratification, prostitution of the children, selling their pictures or so thing. Neglect is when they're not taken care of, not in school, no food, and everything on that. So that is really important there. You want to, they're going to try to do a family reunification. They do what's called family preservation support services for some families. They'll assess or identify problems, gather facts, clarify the problem. You'll go to a detention hearing. Well, first step is you're going to go to a placement where your kids are going to be put if they're taken out of your home. Second of all, you will go to a detention hearing where they lay out your case plan and all the goals, identify resources and time frame you need to do that. Then they document the case, and you can go through a couple years. Somebody the other day told me they've been in it for 12 years. Someone told me there were 3 when they're taking a foster care. They're grown up, they're having children of their own, and they're still having problems with CPS. So that being said, I want to stop for one moment. I'll be right back. Be right back. Okay, I'm back. Had to take care of a personal matter. Sorry. Um, so um, when I talked about the steps and the details of them, Uh, they are going to work through the reporting, and then they'll do initial probing. That's where they try to find out if what they're saying is true and what to do, and they do a further investigation. And then the workers will put together all the evidence they collected and determine whether the claims made against the guardians have a substantial grounds. Then there'll be the case plan, as I told you. Then you go to detention court to hear the plan. The plan can be modified, by the way, and then CPS will monitor until your families reunited. Now, that form file 88 I was telling you about, 388, is typical brought to request a hearing to modify, change, or set aside a previous court order. So if any of you are thinking that something's wrong, or it's also to determine juvenile court judgments on the grounds there was a changed circumstances or new evidence, you must use that form to do a change or modification of a previous order. So the 388 petition is a very important document, and that's why I'm trying to say you need a lawyer, because there's a lot of petitions, a lot of forms, and to go through that. It's like a doctor. You're not going to do open heart surgery on yourself. You're going to get a doctor to do it. That's the same thing about attorneys. Yes, the common problem is lack of money. Like with me, is ignorance. Yeah, I was going through a very troubled time, and I lost a job at age 60. At 65, I was running out of my income. I couldn't get hired, not because um, I couldn't meet the qualifications, because I was too old. I lost my job. Why? Because circumstances beyond my control. I had over $50 million worth of work, and the state of California was going bankrupt, and they put all those funds and they froze them with IOUs. And so I had to go. And I worked in construction and in civil engineering, highway, a heavy highway there. But I um, was in a very bad situation. I lost my home and lost one of my children, and my wife and I went through. It was hell. They weren't fair. They weren't honest. CPS is not transparent. And how I mean that is that, first of all, when you met with them, and one of the early steps is when they decide to take your children, they put them in a shelter temporary till they have a meeting several days later, and then they do what's a plan where to put the children, whether they're put in with family members, if they can't go home, whether they're put into a group home or in foster care, or so forth. And at first, they were in danger where they put them in. They were taken from a beautiful home, loving parents, and placed into a shelter next to a prison of hardened criminals, next to the court system, dependent court system, or near the prison. And in the shelter, their play area was infested with bees. And so there's worries of getting bee stings. Also, the place was too many people in the shelter, meaning that it was overcrowded. There wasn't enough food. It was dirty. There was cockroaches. I went there to visit the children, and at first, we were able to somewhat see the children under supervision, but CPS was determined to make our life really bad. And one of the things early on is when we met, is that they have a meeting. Well, the meeting didn't involve the children. It involved your attorneys and the social workers, and to talk about where we put it. We wanted to put them with a relative, because that way they could still we could see them and still be together. And there was nothing immediate danger about us. We didn't have anything that would endanger the kids. Our kids were straight A students, well fed, well taken care of, in a real home. The only hiccup that we had was I lost my job and I was running out of money. And then on top of that, my my mother and father were dying, and I had to settle their house, and I brought all their belongings into our house. So I had too much furniture, too many boxes, so I had to clutter effect. That was the only thing they could find anything wrong with us, besides the argument that me and my wife would have. Now that is domestic violence. It doesn't have to be physical there, but Domestic argument, I went to anger management, and that really helps. And so I'm going to use a term called timeout. You probably heard of it. We put our kids in timeout. So it's really important that that you use timeout when you're arguing with somebody. You never want to argue in front of the kids or yell in front of the kids. That's a no-no. If it becomes bad, you take a timeout and you walk away and you go for a walk. It's just like in sports. They have timeouts all the time. They take a player out to cool down. The coach will ask for a timeout to talk to the players. Timeouts are used all walks away. We should use them in our professional life too. Timeout with a boss so you don't have confrontations. So timeouts are a really important thing, and they can be used by parents as well as we use it with our children. So that's something that I learned in there. Now, again, I want to talk about the three ways you interact with the show. The first way is text messages, and um, it's very, very important if you have something to type it in, put the place you're talking from and your name, and then put your question. We'll try to answer it. So we do take text messages right there when you're watching this live. The other way is that you can call in at 626-698-0990, and that's a direct line to my phone. And I'll put your call live on the show through speakerphone, and you can talk about your case if you like to. I'd love to have anybody call in and give you the opportunity to talk. The third way is to schedule a special time to talk on the show, a day and a time that works for you. And that number is 888-888-6582. That is my number of my office. And when you call in, mention my name, Bob Pace. It's very, very important to mention my name. And that way you can be a guest on the show. We'd love to have you talk about it. So that is the third way to interact. Now, another thing I wanted to tell you, I've been mentioning attorneys. I'll probably drown you to death. I did not get an attorney at first, and I did a mistake to try to handle myself. And I regret that because it cost me a lot of things not getting an attorney. And we have an attorney. The show is produced by Vincent W. Davis and Associates. Vincent W. Davis is a family law professional lawyer with trial background. He's excellent. He knows how to fight, get your kids back. He offers a free 30-minute or 1-hour consultation to talk about the strategies to fight CPS and get your kids back. He's easy to talk to, and if you like him, I'd retain him. And he's strongly recommended. It's very important that you get an attorney, because if you don't get an attorney, it's going to be really hard to try to navigate and know your rights and fight CPS. Again, as I've always say, it's just like a doctor. If you have open heart surgery, you are not going to try to do it yourself. You're going to get a doctor. Same thing applies with your attorney. So that being said, this show is about CPS and about helping you get your children back. And so I'll continue on now. The thing I was talking about, I finished with the Form 388 and how the importance of that. The allegations made against you, mine was with my wife's family, were ridiculous allegations. And that's what's going to hurt you, because they're going to try to. Also, if you end up talking to them and you're going to open yourself or expose yourself, they will see things and they'll make assumptions and they'll be bad on you. They also use the police, and the police are supposed to be very fair and honest, but they're duped. The police I was with were duped because for a long time, CPS was trying to investigate at the onslaught with these ridiculous allegations by my wife's family members. And so here we are. I'm supposed to be going through my golden years in life, and now because I'm being punished having young children and jealous in-laws and jealous family members trying to destroy our family. Why? I lost a job. And I don't know what's so hard about that. I mean, my family was in a good home and everything. I tried to keep my home as long as I could, but I had to bite the bullet and get to turn it. First, I tried to fight at the top dog in CPS and their office. Their office is Taj Mahal. It's a very rich looking building, and I found out that it's $1 billion business, and they need the money from the state and the federal government. And every child that's put into the system, they get money, but that money's not used for the kids. They're not transparent. One time I will suggest, with the money got so bad that one time one of my childs was placed in foster care. They had money left over they had to use, so they bought him 100 pairs of socks. Well, just to use the money. It's so ludicrous with the money there because they give the money to foster care, and they give money and they give more money. It should be money spent on the family. It should be family unification. We should have weekly meetings where the family gets to know what's going on. They don't do that. In group homes, it gets worse. In a group home, they teach the kids not to love their parents, to keep their hands at their side, and then they have a point system, and they scold the kids, and they make them terrified. It's a terrifying experience when your children are taken from you, and then there's no more contact and the bits and pieces because they are not transparent. They don't divulge what's going on. You don't. When you see your children, you're either visitation by a monitor far away, or it depends on how serious the allegations are, and you're not supposed to talk about the case. And it's really, really sad. I mean, they are an agency that destroys family. And I do want to mention something called uh, the Indian Child Welfare Act, ICWA, and that is something really important. It was acted in 1979 to protect Native American Indian children. Now, if you are a Native American Indian or could be registered as a Native American Indian, you may well look into that to protect your children. By law, they're required to make sure any Indian children are first helped out by the tribe. The tribe will take care of their own. The tribe has their own government. That's why you see casinos on their lands, because the federal government can't do anything about their private lands. And my tribe, by the way, I am a Lakota Sioux, and is at the Rosebud Reservations in South Dakota. And it's really, really sad because my great great grandmother was a full blooded Lakota Sioux, but the records are missing and I couldn't get my children registered. CPS won't help you. They will not help you anything. And they talk about family reunification. It's a joke. They don't reunify. They want to keep your kids as long as they can in the system, and they want to take and brainwash the kids. They want to alienate the kids from the parents. They talk about alienation, and alienation is a buzzword they use a lot. And they usually associate with parents. One parent has a custody battle, and they're alienating the other parent by talking bad about them in front of the kids or trying to get the kids to change their mind. There is also in-law alienation, where in-laws will try to alienate the kids from the parents. And there, is lots of ways that alienation is used. So be very, very careful. If you have an attorney, you be knowing the strategies and the way to go. Yes, it's a lot of money. And where are you going to get it? Well, I had to take, my home and my life savings and my parents' inheritance money and use it all to get my kids back. It does take a lot of money, but it's worth every cent because your kids are your most valuable thing you have in your life. We as parents want children. It isn't something that we don't want children. I've very few parents that don't want their children or don't want their children back. They miss their children. I meet grandparents. I have people calling from all over the country. And one day, one guy from North Carolina was talking about he was accused of feeding his kids carpet. And the guy that was complaining was his fiance's ex-husband, who was trying to take away her kids. And his fiance and him were going to get married, and they already had a bond with those kids. He had some kids with his fiance after they married, and they were trying to interfere and take away those kids. So it got really complicated. It's so sad how they work. Um, I mentioned something called a group home, and there's foster care, which is where a child is getting ready for adoption. And foster care people are not nice. They they punished my son for ridiculous reasons, and they abused my son. He was abused in custody with Child Protection Services. Emotional abuse. He was abused. He had some physical allocations against him, where he's cuffed in the back of the head and so forth. There, so um, there's abuse that goes on with CPS. They're not to be trusted. And one thing I recommend strongly, if you have a case, is to take very good notes. You need to have a ledger or something in writing that describes the date, the time, and what events taken place and who's involved. Those are the important facts you need to summarize and a little bit about the incident. So if you have today's date, which is the 27th of January, 2024. The time is approximately 7:40, and you have an incident regarding the taking of your children. They involved a social worker with name such and such. They involved a policeman with name of such and such. The outcome, they're put in a shelter. And so, with that information, you'll need to refer it to later on because they will lie. Now, one thing that will help you is that anything that's sent to you or anything that is uh, emailed to you, there's a copy in the court, and the court clerk will have copies, and you can ask for copies of all your records, and they have to give it to you by law. Now they do charge, but if you're low income, they will provide it free. And so I had a stack of paperwork that was approximately 24 inches high, and I went and highlighted things with different highlighters and things I wanted my attorney to see, things that I wanted to take care of that were wrong done in court and so forth. Um, so that's important that you have good documentation in there. It's important that you have an attorney that's on your side. If you use the court appointed attorneys, which are called public defenders, you're going to find out in my case, they had caseloads of average of 20 people. And there's not much they can do with 20 people, maybe 5 minutes to each person. And they're busy. And in dependency court, there where my case was heard in Southern California, the dependency court um, is really crowded. It's standing room, there's very little seats, and you spend countless hours outside the courtroom. You're not allowed to go in there, even though they say you're entitled to hear a case. They only bring you in when they have an issue to discuss with you, when they made a settlement on your plan, or when they decide they want to hang you. You should be in there at all proceedings. All their criminal matters, all their cases, you're brought in there. In fact, if you're not even involved with the case, you're allowed to sit in a courtroom. So they should be transparent, and you should be in there to see there. Because what goes on, I hate to say it, in my case, my judge was not a professional judge. He was a collision lawyer, knew all about property damage, but knew nothing about families or how to put kids back together. He's an elected official, and I must say, this year's elections, come time in November, make sure you're careful to elect the uh, the judges that go in your dependency court and child protection services. It's very important that they are qualified and they have experience. Right now, the social workers are not even qualified. They start the social workers in at the young age in the early 20s, and they're allowed to make decisions, which they should have a mentor for 10 years. They should follow cases and learn firsthand before they're turned around, because they're taught to go for bonuses, so they get their Gucci purses or their BMW cars. Um, there's bonuses given to them to keep the children, to take away the children. It's sad, and it's affected from the management staff all the way to the top dog, all the way to the bottom. I've seen it. I've been through it. I'm one of those people that are very good about fighting through emails and paperwork and paper trails and so forth. But I should never have tried to do it all on my own. I should have got the attorney sooner and I probably would have my daughter back. I lost her because she was convinced that her parents weren't the right parents to be with, and that she liked the idea of foster parents who had a lot of money, and they knew that dad no longer had Disney passes because he couldn't afford them. They're like $2,500 now. But I had family passes for my family, and we had to go a Spartan lifestyle, and so I had to cut back the sodas, the sweets, the cookies, the ice cream. But we couldn't go. We used to travel a lot and so forth. But all that was current. The social services ruined my two boys in their pursuit of scouting. One was in Cub Scouts, the other one was in scouting. One was working on his Eagle, the other one was working on his Weeblos, and it was really sad. They also played soccer. They played sports in school. My youngest son just finished playing 4 years of football on the top high school in the country. He's a national championship, and a lot of like over 100 people went to D1 schools with scholarships. That's how it is there. And my other son was a robotic team and a golfer, and he did well in school. And my daughter liked to play volleyball, but they were all very behind their parents initially. It's through the proceedings that they were coached, and then ignorance. They weren't brought in to know what was going on. You weren't allowed to discuss matters with your children. You weren't allowed to tell them that hang in there, we're going to be together as a family. They missed their family big time, and I know that the things that are hurting now is because of them. And I want everybody to listen, to fight, do not give up the ship with CPS. Be really careful about um, tricks and deception and so forth. They're not your friend. So get an attorney. Do not open or talk your case unless you talk to your attorney. And have your problems corrected. I did all my problems 100%. I did extra ones, meaning whatever they came up with, I did more. And so that still, it was because I got involved with the department heads, the manager, the CEO of CPS and social services, and that was really, I guess, a mistake on my part because they wanted to get revenge. They're very revengeful people. They will try to steal your children away. They will alienate your children from you as parents, and there's nothing fair about them. I see nothing good about that or social services. Right now, social services is going through a very lot of problems because they have to handle the millions and millions of immigrants. And people are coming into their country right away, and they're given, instead of like in the old days where you had to learn about the government, the history of the United States, learn the language, and become a citizen, they're right away made a citizen. We have open borders right now, and they're given jobs, they're given food stamps, they're given medical aid, and their kids are placed in school at all no cost to them. So why do you think people in the world want to come there when they know that the United States allows everybody in open borders to come in there? And it's got to be changed. It's got to be regulated, and they got to do some things first. I'm not against having people come to the United States. We are all immigrants, including the Native American Indian. They were the first immigrants, and they came in and settled in North America and then further south into South America when the Spanish were coming over. We've had, we've since the American Indians, we have Europeans, and we had the Vikings come over. And for a long time, we believed in school that Christopher Columbus was the first to set in North America, but it actually was the Vikings. It was Erickson, Leif Erikson. And so there's a lot of culture, a lot of history here. So when I tell people what is a Native American, there are several kinds. There's the Native American. We're all are Native American. We're born here and raised here. We are native to this country. We're Native American. This is North America, America. There's the Indian Native America. We're the first immigrants. Then there are and I don't think any Vikings stayed for any long period of time, but there's the European immigrants that came over here and settle. And they were the next uh, group of people to come. And then there's been all these other immigrants from as time goes on, people from around the world come into our country because why? We're a democratic society. It's the land of the free, the land of the brave, and we're a powerful country. And we try to take care of the world so much that it gets really taxing our local services. We have a lot of issues addressed, and one of them is social services with Child Protection Agency. We got to make changes there, and I want to go over some of the changes that I feel that would make it a better time. Step one, when they get the allegations, those allegations need to be in writing with the name given. And if they're in writing with the name given, people are less likely to make false allegations. And then they need to investigate, and they need to really be sincere about family reunifications. Yes, it is supposed to protect the children, but they've gone overboard and they think every parent is really bad and they think every case is extreme and they need to go in. They're not allowed to go into your home. You have to have a warrant. The police are not allowed to go in a home. They have to have a court order. It's got to be signed by a court, the name of the person they have to investigate, what they have to investigate for. So it is your castle here. And again, if you receive anything, step one is a call an attorney. Even if you call one to talk for an hour, they can give you some strategies what to do and so forth. If I knew that, I would never have had them in my home. I would have said, look, you need to have a court order. They come in here, nothing's going on wrong with my family. My kids are perfectly fine. They were investigated at school. They were actually interviewed at school. They are allowed to interview your kids at school, but the parents are called by the school to come there and wait. And you're not allowed to be in with them because they think the parents are going to coach them. Who do you think coaches them? CPS does. But my kids were smart enough and they told CPS nothing. They said they were happy children. They said, you need to help out our dad. He needs help. He needs help financially and to help him with a job and so forth. They were saying nothing that was bad or anything in there. They mentioned they had their own room, their own castles, and they were very happy to be with their parents. We were very loving parents, and it's sad what they've done. They destroyed it. They destroyed a good family. I'm not saying it was perfect, but they destroyed a good family and a father who was trying to do well and take care of not only his immediate family, but his own family. And that's why he took the belongings belonging to his parents. And if what I know now, I would have told my parents, I'm sorry, at this time, I really can't take the belongings because I don't have the funds to put them in storage. I lived in an area that was private and had CCNRs, and so it was some mistakes I made, but boy did I pay for it. Boy did I pay for it. It was so bad when they destroy your family and use up all your money and spend it. I have lost so much money and so much of my time, my youth with my kids, but I'm not going to give up. I want everybody out there not to give up fighting CPS. I want you to get an attorney. I want you to call in to this particular show. I want you to be able to um, decide, what the best thing to do for your family. But whatever you do not talk to CPS. Do not let them in your home. Do not let the police in your home. Get an attorney. They will tell you what to do. And get a notebook. Get a ledger. Have some application that you can write daily what is taking place, what is on. Because after a week, you'll get lost of all the sites and stuff. You'll need that information. You'll need that information to correctly disprove the lies. They do a lot of lying in there. And you need to have that attorney find all the things that can help you. The ICWA for Indian children is one area that can help you. If you put your children that are Native American Indians register with the tribe, or maybe they're already registered with the tribe, and the tribe is least honest and better, and they'll take care of your people. Yes, historically been the Indian tribes in the United States have been let down. There's no question about that, and I've seen it all. I mean, I've lived through it, and in my case, I actually went looking for my grandmother in the summer of '72 up at the Rosebud Reservation in South Dakota. I tried to go through they'll go to university to find things, and it's just they don't have written record and so forth. And shortly after that visit there was a terrible incident at Wounded Knee again. Not only did they have the Battle of Little Bighorn, and they slaughtered so many people at the first Wounded Knee that the second Wounded Knee was a standoff between the U.S. government, the FBI, and AIM, the American Indian Movement. And it was a sad state of affairs then. And today, they still are struggling. They still need help and everything on that. I want you, as you listen to me, to uh, check daily on the show. The show is broadcast twice a day, one time at 10 o'clock in the morning and one time at 7 o'clock in the evening. That's all Pacific time. That's Pacific Standard Time. I'm on the West Coast in Southern California. Now, we have an attorney that is a family law attorney. He's a professional attorney. He has trial experience. And he offers a free 30-minute, up to an hour, of consultation on the strategies of how to fight CPS and how to get your children back. He can be scheduled by calling my office at 888-888-6582. Mention my name, Bob Pace, and set up a time to see him. And if you like him, retain him. He's worth every dime you spend for him in retaining him. He will fight for your kids and get your families back together, and he knows it. There are other attorneys that are good too. He's not the only one. So make sure you get an attorney. Don't try to fight it like I did. Learn from my bad experience. You don't want to go through what I went through. Some of you are probably are still going through it. I feel for you out there. I know what you're going through. I've seen the lies and the deception that takes place with CPS. They're not your friend. They're not friendly, and they do not portray something called family reunification. Their sole purpose, and I'm speaking the branch in Southern California, but most of the people around the states have pretty much said the same, is that they want to get your children away from you. They want to get them adopted. They want them in foster care. They want to make money, and it's a money-making thing. They are a legal slave trade with your children. You know, you think about that. You know, slave trade with children is a bad economic thing. Kids are being kidnapped where I live. I'm in the #1 area where kids are kidnapped and shipped overseas for what? For slavery, also for prostitution. There's so many children that are mistakenly caught up, and parents are duped by fake modeling agencies and those kinds of things where the kids one day are there, the next day they're gone. And it's a horrible thing they have in there. And CPS does the same thing too. They're going to steal your children. And I know CPS doesn't like me talking that way, but I keep telling, if there's good stories out there or there's a good way there, please call in. I'd love to have it. I'd love to hear good stories that CPS reunified the families. And a lot of times you out there, you may have hiccups, like a drug. You know, you're not supposed to have illegal drugs until your children are age of 18. Remember, when children are the age of 18, you have to be on your best behavior. And none of you out there, including myself, are born with a manual of how to raise kids, how to take care of kids. You do your best with your culture, how you're brought up, everything. So please love your children. Please take care of your children. And if you get in a problem, make sure you call an attorney to at least try to investigate and know how to navigate and so forth that. So I'm going to end the program with you all a very happy and a safe new year. Much luck and success in the upcoming year. Don't give up. Do not. I know how bad it feels. I feel for you, but you'll get your children back eventually. And so I'll see you the next time. So thank you for listening. Bob Pace signing out.